perfectly created, perfectly guided, perfectly loved. To be perfectly loved, to be perfectly guided, to be perfectly created. Who could ask for anything more? When all is perfect, when all is offered, when the hand of truth reaches down and is constantly directing you to love, to peace, to harmony, showing the way, communicating all the time, all the time. And yet, beloveds walk in this world in pain and suffering, battling with an illusion of self, and believing that everyone and everything that there is to be seen is corrupt, is tainted, is dangerous. That is what runs almost every beloved in the universe. And it's all put into facades that are in agreement, that everyone can recognize and agree with. And so, lifetime after lifetime, all these agreements keep everyone in line, which is the ego's intention, for everybody to be in line, to be the slave of a nightmare. It's not about painting a picture of despair. It's about the contrast of truth to illusion. Why is it so difficult for humanity to accept the love of God that is all benevolence, and that you were totally created in love? There isn't one thing, not one cell of your being. There isn't one anything of you, one cell of your brain or whatever. There isn't one aspect of you that is not perfect and the beauty of all creation. And how powerful is the mind that could cover all that up and then see something else, see suspicion and defense and difficulty and danger. And it's not really that the ego world would like to say, well, these are the, as it was said, these are the deplorables. There are deplorables that, that are really the extreme. But in the reality of truth, of love, it's all the same, because you're not recognizing love. You're not embracing the truth of love. So then all of whether it's deplorable or it's all just pain. It's all just levels and degrees used to say we're all different, but the union of the ego is the pain, the fear. And yet, since the beginning of creation, since the beginning of the belief of separation, there has always been the gifts, the power of God to heal, to be healed. When Abraham was called to surrender his son, what a gift! What a gift to completely enter into that teaching of being given the opportunity to see that one that he called his son was not his by ownership, that the son, this being, was God's. And in that moment, Abraham received that healing. But there it is for everyone to enter into just one teaching that could transform so much, if not all. It is the encouragement of love that will not stop offering. But the curiosity of why we, because I did the same thing to whatever degree that I did in the journey of love, the resistance to love is astounding. And the trance that we stay in that way of illusion, the trance is somehow reconciled as doable or wanted. But the connection isn't made that all the pain in the universe that is felt by anyone is coming from a false identity, from a false illusion that has no resemblance to the truth of your exquisite, perfect self. And yet, the yes can become so strong. It can become so all-encompassing. And when you're in the yes to love, it is in itself spectacular, because the yes automatically opens the heart more. It relieves the weight of the fear, just in its nature of yes. Don't waste any moment that has the potential to transform your awareness from fear to love. Every beloved is ripe with the opportunity and the ability to remember love. The mysteries of healing are so astounding because they are truly mysteries. And it's like you can be sitting here and there can be another beloved sitting there, and you've been studying spiritual teachings and you've been saying yes, yes, yes. And then this beloved sitting next to you who just showed up for the first time pops into healing. What is that you would spend so much time and then this beloved pops open? It can seem in time that that's imbalanced, but in truth, no one knows the journey of each one and what moment is the yes come into its fullness. But celebrate all healing. It has to be celebrated. It has to be encouraged in the celebration, within the heart, through gratitude, through acceptance. It has to be celebrated in such a way that it is about celebrating what is realized as the shift into peace that occurs. The saying that I often still say, because it was so potent in healing, is, thank God I wasn't right. And that statement, that declaration, thank God I wasn't right, is a celebration. It's a celebration that acknowledges that I didn't know anything. And I had to accept that I didn't know anything so that I could accept the truth that I had never learned, and that it was deeply embedded somewhere but had to be remembered in its totality. Celebrate your healing. Celebrate the perfection of this lifetime, finding the way to love. And once you find this way to love, you can rest easy because you're so close. It's just like a hair breath that has to be blown away. Embrace every teaching in every moment because it's so precious. It's so precious. It's so blessed. It's so grace-filled. The choice is always there. Bring it into manifestation as often as possible, and use forgiveness for its divine purpose, which is to forgive all the ideas of separation and pain and not being perfect when you are. The celebration is essential too. Every beloved of light calls to the same thing. Come and dance. Come and dance so the divine will materialize. Dance with the heart. Just the declaration, I am so glad I wasn't right, is a place of dancing. It doesn't speak to any particular attributes or anything else. It just says, God, I'm so glad I wasn't right. And that the nightmare can end. Thank God. Affirm constantly that love is all that there is. Affirm that this sanctuary is filled with love because it's what's affirmed. It's what is real. It's what is. And that we are one in the life force of God. There is no difference between anyone. Those are all made up levels and degrees. It's a holy union of love that also is needed to be welcomed because it's the truth. There's only one. And anything that's in the way of that union, that beautiful oneness, send it on its way. It'll disappear because it doesn't exist. That you can walk down the street and everyone that you pass, you can truthfully say, that's me. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. That's God, that's God, that's God, that's God. And eventually, you'll live there because it's the perfection of love and it's what you are. Accepting the life force of God as the center of our being, we are one. And within this life force of God, we live and move and breathe as one in the trueness of our holy union. Give your heart. Give your heart away. It won't really go away. But share your heart. Extend your heart, your love. More and more and more. Let it manifest in the truth of love. In this moment, we are celebrating love. We are celebrating union. We are celebrating. Join me in that celebration because this heart is celebrating all the time. And celebrating every beloved who says yes. In perfection, we say yes. When I sing this hymn about paying attention, I used to take this hymn as like a correction, but I needed a lot of correction, so it was okay that it was a correction. And it is a correction, but it's a correction of love. How essential it is to pay attention and to move very, very slowly, to not mistake where you're walking in the path of love, so that you're not taken off course and thereby suffer by going off course because out of old habits. It is a healing in itself to accept correction, because there are many beloveds that say, no, don't tell me anything. And of course, that's the opposite in a way of what actually occurs in the spiritual journey. Tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. Tell me what to say. Correct my mind. Heal my mind. Heal my heart. So allow this prayer to be taken with the sincerity that it is offered, the sincerity of the heart that only wants to remember. Sister, brother, pay keen attention. Go very, very slowly to not mistake your path. Sister, brother, keep your feet on the ground. Be careful with your pride. Be careful with your vanity. Sister, brother, go very, very slowly. Be careful with the traps of life in your path. Sister, brother, journey with attention, sincerity in the heart, to walk well on this earth. Keep your feet on the ground. What does that mean, to keep your feet on the ground? You're never actually walking without having your feet on the ground, but it's an intention of really accepting that you're here to remember, and that you are paying attention to what is available in the moment, how the divine is orchestrating your day so that you can learn, because every moment is an offering of learning. Imagine that you would be like in first grade, and you stand up in class and say, not interested. Nope, I already know everything that goes on in first grade, so I don't need to be here. Well, that little being, that first grader, is going to find out that they really did need all of that for so many purposes within the world. But the spiritual journey, most of us revert back to being in first grade. And it's where we need to be because we don't know the way. And being in first grade allows the humility to also realize, wow, I got to start at the beginning, just like in first grade. And I have to be available. I have to journey with attention. And if I do, I'm slowed down enough that I can have those divine relationships with the guides that are so in love with you, who are so devoted. And you begin to hear them more clearly because you're moving more slowly, paying attention. So, journey with attention. And for some reason in this hymn, it's about be careful with your pride and your vanity. pride is so not your friend, but is used by the ego to be right. And it's a painful place, because it is actually the virus that causes so much tension of trying to protect and defend an identity that is so minuscule, because you're so the light of God. There's nothing to be prideful about, because it's just who you are, what you are. There's a beautiful teaching that says, it is not arrogance that calls me to pronounce that I am the light of God. It is not arrogance that says I was created in God's perfection. It is humility, because it is the truth. You can carry that in your heart, and please carry it in your heart, that you are the light of God, that you are the creation and perfect. And let it show you that humility, because it's just true. And it's just a fact. And let yourself get comfortable with it. I am the light of God. I am innocence. And just rest in God with that truth, because it is what you are. I've cried a lot and regretted all that has passed that I believed was the past. And now I'm going to leave everything that I was yearning and lamenting about, and I'm going to go and live among the flowers with my Blessed Mother. I am learning that the fears that have appeared have been a great rebellion and fear of God. Let's all of us in union sing with love, with our Divine Mother, dispelling all these fears because we offer them up. I'm the child of the Blessed Mother. This too I accept with humility. I recognize this power that is instilled in every beloved, the power of God, the power of the mind, of truth, of love. And I call upon that power, that truth of God, to come and open my heart with the power of transformation. I give myself to that power, and I accept the transformational healing. This is how we live among the flowers, through divine transformation. Choro muito e lamento tudo que se passou. Deixo tudo doçamente, vou viver no meio das flores. Vou viver no meio das flores, junto com a Virgem Maria. Os terrores que aparecem, essa grande rebeldia. Vamos todos, meus irmãos, vamos cantar com amor, para Deus e a Virgem Mãe nos defender desses terrores. Sou filho da Virgem Mãe, reconheces-te poder, chama a força, chama a força para vir nos defender. Come and open my heart. I want nothing else. Open my heart and open my mind to love, to peace, to harmony. I don't want to see anything else. I don't want to dance with anything else. I don't want to play with anything else. I just want to remember love. You don't have to act crazy anymore. You don't have to act crazy anymore. We all know you were good at that. Now retire, my dear, from all that hard work you do of bringing pain to your sweet eyes and heart. Look in a clear mountain mirror and see the beautiful ancient warrior and the divine elements that you've always carried within. Do you see them? Can you touch them? Yes, you can. All of these divine elements infused this universe with sacred life so long ago. When you remembered you were one with God. And now they join you internally with all existence with God. All the gifts of God are still within you, waiting to be met and accepted and lived as your true nature. But what is it about acting crazy? There isn't anyone who hasn't felt that they're not necessarily acting crazy, but that they feel crazy. Why do we feel crazy when we're in the world? It would be quite a show to be able to see how many thoughts are running during one day, how many judgments are being played out in the mind during a day. I remember I was with a beloved who was in the same path that I was in, and she didn't speak very much. She didn't verbalize her own process or her own inner healings. But one day she said to me, just in passing, but she spoke so little that it was very precious. And she said, my mind is just driving me crazy because now I'm seeing all of the insanity that I'm running all the time. And she was very quiet with it, but very introspective, very deep in prayer with it. And it sparked that in me of, well, I don't feel quite that crazy. Well, give me time, because I ended up feeling that crazy, seeing all the same things. And it's a place that has to be recognized for what it is in order to surrender it and not want it anymore, because we chose in the split to believe in an illusion that was really crazy, that was built on hate and fear. So in the healing, you don't have to act crazy anymore. It's also, you don't have to believe in the need to let the mind run its craziness. And what is it that beloveds do with that element of insanity? Mostly it's projection. It's what a projection is for. Projection onto the world is a way of defense that says, I can get rid of this. I call it the hot potato syndrome. You feel terrible, you feel agitated or upset, and it's past stuff that's moving around, or something that you're holding that's connected to the past. You're agitated and you're really upset and not happy, not peaceful. And what do you do with that? Except project it. You try to get rid of it. You can't get rid of it by wishing it away, because it seems real and it seems that it's holding you prisoner and that it's normal. So you project it onto something else or someone else. And it's so subtle. The projection is so subtle that you don't even realize that it's been projected. One of the reasons you don't realize that it's been projected is because you still carry it. It's still painful. By projecting it onto someone else, it doesn't go away. And so then you project it onto somebody else and somebody else. And so you're just projecting all the time. And that's the ego's intention. That's why that's one of the teachings of pay keen attention, because if you're paying attention, you can actually recognize the projection. Because all of a sudden, you're upset with somebody else. All of a sudden, somebody else is irritating you or scaring you. And that comes from the projection. Whether you're projecting a relationship or something from the past that was frightening, and all of a sudden this beloved is frightening like that beloved was in the past. But that's projection. And it's used all the time to try to not be so scared, not to be so fearful and suspicious. What happens with projection is that you have to make it right. You have to have a reason. So the senses, especially the eyes and the ears, are all in union with the projection. And you see what you believe. That's where all thought comes from. And that's what all that you see is what you're believing in your mind. So if you believe in the moment that you're not safe, that you're being triggered somehow by something outside you, if you believe that, it builds a system of pain and suffering. And this is what everyone is here to heal. To return to the recognition that every beloved is just innocent, just like you are. And whatever's being made up in the mind is just made up. And it's the past that is being offered to be healed in that moment. Because it's not actually happening now. There's a teaching that speaks to grievances. Love holds no grievances. So why is this such a blessed, deep learning and offering of love? Because grievances are so normal in the ego world. Now here's the part that is a quandary, I guess, a questioning. Narcissism is the self-absorption that the world revolves around what you think you are. And everything is about, how does this affect me? And at the same time that this narcissism is needing to be healed, because there's only one, we're also asked in the spiritual journey to go within and pay attention and to look at what you believe. So it's a very strange relationship with narcissism, because you're being called to pay attention to within, and at the same time let go of the self-involvement that is about protection and defense. Can they coexist? Yes, but they many times are confused. So it isn't narcissism that is needed for self-reflection. It is an asking to be shown what is the meaning that I've given everything. The one of the detriments of healing is to try to figure it out, to try to take information that you've had in the past about relationship balancing and things like that, and what you think you know is going on, and try to figure out the healing for yourself. This is a really can be a very painful place, because it slows you down so much, because you're limiting everything that you think you're seeing by what you think you know about it, and you're trying to make sense out of it. And all the while that everybody is trying to be the recognizer of what's going on, the spirit of love, the healing agent of the divine, is waiting to be called in with truth, with reality. And the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of love, the divine physician, is waiting to help you transform, waiting to serve you in seeing what is actually the block that's in the way. We can't make sense out of what's in the way, because we're too attached to what's in the way. It's our identity when we're in the world of separation. And it's essential to allow the truth to be shown, so that you can see what's in the way, surrender it, forgive it as not the truth, and that you're disowning it, you're giving it to God, and you're accepting that you are the light of God. And that whatever it was that you held had no reality. Because in truth, no thought that you have, and every beloved can take this as deeply as possible, no thought that you ever have, unless it comes from the divine, is real. No thought that you have is real. And the strange thing is that the more that you believe in your thoughts, the more difficult it becomes to extricate yourself from the identity with them. It's not impossible, it's never impossible, but it's the tenacity of the ego of I know something and I'm right is the addiction, just like any addiction. Wanting and believing that your thoughts keep you safe or keep you in an identity that has worth, except that underneath that, because of you don't have to act crazy anymore, underneath that, even though there is a facade of these thoughts are pretty great. I'm really good at thinking and concluding, but underneath you're scared to death because you're afraid of actually what you really think about yourself. And all these layers are there for the Holy Spirit to just start unraveling for you and with you. I place myself in the hands of God is not a song. It's not an idea that is someplace else. It is here for you to place your life into the hands of God and accept the healing of love that is aligned for you. And one of the ways of that healing is to embrace so fully that love holds no grievances. It's talking about the past too. It's talking about all the grievances that we carry from the past of who we thought was cruel to us and who we thought didn't understand us and didn't like us and didn't help us or whatever it was. But you take that same grievance and then you bring it into your everyday life of what looks like the present time. Because the irritation is there. The irritation and the fear of your unworth is still churning. And yet grievances have to be let go because they are the hell. They are the pain. They are the cause of your belief of separation. This is like self-attack. So here's a teaching that is deep and powerful. You think if someone acted or spoke differently or an external circumstance were changed, you would be saved. You would be better. If someone acted or spoke differently. Now, this is true of everybody. This is not an exclusive. This is true of everybody. It's what runs most of the time with humanity. It's what suspicion is all about. It's what defense is all about. And while you think that if someone acted differently or spoke differently or circumstances were different, then you would be able to come back to peace or be saved. And it's totally the opposite. The saving comes from the realization that this is in my mind. I'm making this up. No one outside of you, of me, no one outside, nothing outside can give you anything at all, one way or another, because you are everything already. No one has anything or has less for you to want it to be different. No one has a view of you that is going to bring you to a place of peace, you're not fighting for your worth in any moment. You may think that you are, but you're not. And it is a very important element to realize that when you have a teacher who adores you, who brings every ounce of love to you, that even though that is true, it is not your savior, because the love is being sparked from within, and that is your savior. You carry that love already. You are that love. Anything you see in any teacher of love, you are. You are the compassion. You are the gentleness. You are the forgiveness. You are the honesty. You are everything that you see or that you love. But everyone has that also. It's just easier to see in some. But we must love. We must love in order to embody the truth. And we must love so that we can come back to oneness. But grievances are the habit that keeps you off the right road, because it's so insidious in its hold. There isn't anyone who hasn't sat with another and been in reaction over someone's behavior or what they say. That's the world. But the spiritual journey is saying, please come out of the world that you thought you knew and see that beloved as a cry for love, and see that beloved as the truth of God. See beyond with your heart. Want to see beyond what you think you see or hear or react to. And to know also that every time we have a reaction, this was certainly true in the journey that I walked, every time there is a reaction to someone else and their behavior or their words or whatever it is, it's what you believe about yourself. It's what you believe is real. It's like if you're worried about somebody else having more power than you, or more of an inside scoop of something, I don't know what else you could want from somebody else, but if you're looking for something else that you think that they're getting or that they're holding on to, there's nothing. It's all in your mind. It's a hallucination, because it's coming from your mind. It's not coming from the other. It's in your mind. Now that goes both ways, because if you see your teacher, a master, that you recognize their light, you recognize their light because it's your light that you're recognizing, or you wouldn't recognize it. You can only recognize the light in a teacher because you have that light yourself. It's the truth of you. And it's seeing itself. So the same thing happens on the other side of the ego side, which is you see the ego's, your own beliefs about unworth and everything else when you see it in somebody else. One of the funniest elements of projection, of believing that it's outside is if you see somebody with power, you think you see them with power, it's because you believe in that power is important to have, and it threatens something, but it isn't true. It's all coming from the mind that projects that idea of power. Or if you carry within you that you don't like to be told what to do, and somebody says, well, we need to do this way or that way. The beloved who doesn't want to be told what to do is usually fearful of not being the one who's doing, because it goes together. That's the craziness. You don't have to act crazy anymore, but that's the craziness that we've all walked in. The journey of love is potentially incredibly gentle. But the resistance to healing, the resistance to truth, makes a very painful journey. And it's what the main block is the resistance to the healing, to accept, I don't know anything. The ego says, I'm not accepting that. No, I know everything. I know what you're about. I know what everything's about. I know how to do everything. I know what everything's for. And that craziness is the resistance that makes healing difficult, because it's not easily accepted. I was in a healing at one time that I was laying down, and one of the leaders came over with a shamanic path, and he looked at me and he kept looking at, I knew he was looking at me. I could feel his energy just right there. But I had my eyes closed. And he finally said to me, what are you doing? And I realized that I was so tense, and I was not giving into this. And all I had to do was let go and allow what I had been praying for. But my habit was tension. My habit was defense in every way that I could. And that in itself was a learning and a healing, to learn to surrender to the healing itself, to get into the boat and allow the healing to manifest. Everybody has that choice to make all the time. And it's an important choice. Allow yourself to take full advantage of every single day of healing. Every situation that you find yourself in, if it's a next door neighbor, if it's somebody you work with, it doesn't matter if you're on the phone, it doesn't matter whether you're on the phone or you're with somebody or whatever it is, or you're thinking about them. Every situation, every circumstance is the opportunity to see through love and be undefended. And that just means I don't know. But when you say I don't know, you're also saying I am not willing to dance with my belief in unworthiness. I am not willing to dance with my belief of being unfairly treated. I'm not willing to dance in this moment with the belief that I am unloved. No, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn how to bring love to this moment and to be in peace and to accept harmony and to accept the innocence of everything and everyone that is outside my little cell. The body is a vehicle that has been used as an identification that is a deep healing, because everything about the body, especially the narcissism that is part of the body system, which says I am this and I have to pay attention to this, and this is the center of everything. If there is the narcissism of the body and the body gets tired, that opens this door, because of its nature, of the body nature. It opens the door to tiredness, opens the door to pity and agitation and self-hatred and feeling betrayed and unfairly treated. All those things are part of the body system, part of the emotional body that gets triggered by tiredness. Just tiredness. You know, spend the day working or whatever it is, and then the body gets tired. There's a tiredness that there needs some rest. The tiredness in itself is neutral, but it's taken as being unfairly treated in the world. It's taken as an irritation, or that I'm unloved. So just that in and of itself is such a healing, to no longer allow, to recognize it when it's going on, because you have the capacity to recognize, what am I feeling? What's running? Am I willing to ask the question, hey, what am I feeling? What's running here? What am I believing in? Do I want to know? Do I want to see what's running so that I can heal? Because in that moment of irritation, self-pity, narcissism, believing that you are unloved and that you're unfairly treated, all of those things are painful. They are pain that is being self-made. And you can change your mind and reject these habits, these untrue habits, right now. Any moment that you find yourself tired, examine what is running, because it is not your friend. Does that mean an opposite ego usage? No. It doesn't mean I have to be tough, I have to be strong, I have to barrel through, I have to prove that I am not this and I am going to prove it. No, it's not that either. It's the recognition, oh, I'm believing in this pain. This is old pain. This isn't new. This is familiar. I have honed this to be a perfect specimen of the ego. When I got tired in the past, I would turn into a child with all of those, let's call them not attributes, but all of those things would show up. I would be tired and I would revert back to being a child, and I would start crying like a child that was unfed, uncared for, unloved, and incapable. These are lies that the physical elements of the body system are triggering. It's not the body's not doing anything. It's not telling you anything. It has no ability to tell you anything other than your own interpretation of the energy. But the emotional body that is carrying all those beliefs from the mind is filtering them down into the body. And then you have this choice, and this choice has to be made. It actually has to be made. This isn't a stewardess on an airplane saying, would you care for a cocktail? No, I don't care for a cocktail. I have to heal this. I have to heal this. This is my torture. This is what tortures me when I get tired. I believe that I am the body and that I am needing and I'm in suffering. And it's not true. It's tiredness. And your spirit is not that body. Your spirit is free. Your spirit is divine. Your spirit is glowing. Your spirit is the light of the world. And it's using this body within this world to believe that you're separate, but you're not. And when the body is given justification by the mind that you're unfairly treated, you're to be pitied, you're used, you're unworth love, you're narcissist, all of that is just the habit of, this is my defense system. This is one of my many defense systems that I use to stay separate. And I use it to stay in also certain relationships, because certain relationships within the journey are about supporting each other as damaged and false. And again, the two sides of the coin are both there. You can either say, gosh, look at us, we're pathetic, we never got loved, we never, we're just alike. Or you can use the other side of the coin, which is just the same, just a different type of facade, but still the same facade that says, no, not me, I'm fine, I'm great, we were great, we're holding the, the tail on the world, and we're winning, and it's all made up. It's all made up. And if you're in cahoots with another on a false identity, you're being called to serve that beloved with truth. Gently, lovingly holding them as the innocence of God that they truly are. And then when you're holding them in that innocence and truth of who they truly are, you're starting to hold yourself in that place too. And that you don't want to be at the effect of anything that is of this physical form. Imagine that you won't be at the effect of being tired. That doesn't mean that you have tons more. It's not energy that's coming to overtake the tiredness. I mean, sometimes that does happen. But it's the other element that you can be happy and at peace and enjoy while there's tiredness. Because the tiredness doesn't mean anything about you. You're not tiredness. You're the light of God. And the more you tap into your divine spirit rather than the body and the identity with the body and the belief in the body, that's where the healing can be so powerful. And it's just one aspect of healing, but everything in God's love wants you to be at peace and happy and recognize your divine spirit. That's what you're here for. To recognize you don't have to act crazy anymore by being in pain. And this is pain that everybody carries in one way or another. And it need not be. It's not the truth of you at all. When I was in Brazil the first time, I heard Brazilians speaking about Americans and shaking their heads and going, God, they're such wimps. And they were talking about me. And that was their judgment and their healing that needed healing. But it had to do with the fear of shifting, the fear of jumping into the river, jumping into the healing. And at one time, my teacher, when he was visiting here in the States, he looked at me and he said, You've believed that you were a princess. And I was very insulted at the time because I'm working really hard. And then at some point I could see that prince's identity, that I wanted it just to magically all go away. And I had to let go of the princess because it was just another facade. That it wasn't a big one. It wasn't a big identity, but it was still there. And when my teacher said, princess, I had to accept it. I had to accept the correction because it was accurate. And it was loving. It was not an attack of any kind. It was like, no, pay attention to this so that you can heal. And let yourself really want the healing more than you want to hold on to the insanity of the ego's offerings of pain and suffering and separate identity. It's not who you are. Never has been, never will be. But don't be afraid of the correction. If you're afraid of the correction, it just makes everything so much more resistant and difficult. Welcome the correction, no matter what it is, whether it's a teaching from a poem or whether it's an awareness in meditation or whatever it is. Welcome it so gratefully, because it's the end of your suffering. It's the end of a false identity that has never, and it's never going to become what you think you want it to be through the ego. It's never going to become an identity that's going to finally bring you peace and harmony. It's not. But that peace and harmony is what you are, and it is your spirit. It is the reality of what you are and have always been. And then you don't have to act crazy anymore. And you look in a clear mountain mirror and see the beautiful ancient warrior and the divine elements you've always carried inside. The truth, the reality, the maturity, your spiritual maturity is in alignment with, I'm not gonna defend and resist anymore because I want to heal. I want to embrace that honesty and that and be shown what's in the way, and to be shown what is truly here, always here, because it's the truth of your being. Join, let everything join you eternally with all existence. That's all that's what this time is for, to learn deeply the truth of love. And this is the salvation for all of humanity, is in your yes, your yes. All grievances surrendered because they stop you from recognizing the truth of who you are. And they're made up. In this moment, accept only love, only light. Amen.